A high teacher kicked me out of her class for having cramps, so I never went back to her class. I apologize if this doesn't fit this sub. I had a hard time deciding where to put it. Ever since I hit puberty, I've had incredibly painful menstrual cramps. It wasn't unusual for me to be completely incapacitated for several hours at least once during each cycle. It was rare for them to hit me during school, but when they did, my teachers usually understood. Usually. My last year in high, I was assigned to a teacher, Mrs. R., who was easily the #1 favorite of every kid in school. I'd heard a lot about her in previous years, so I was really hopeful when I started her class. Well, it was pretty easy to figure out why she was so popular. She gave out chocolate constantly and described herself as a chocoholic. I don't know if it was because I was overweight or because it was obvious I wasn't giving in to the bribe, but she took an immediate dislike to me. The feeling became mutual very quickly. I managed to get through most of the year with her with average grades, figuring I'd just tough everything out until I graduated. But one day, the cramps hit me just before lunch. I spent the entire lunch period laying in the nurse's office, with little to no relief, since anything the nurse had wasn't strong enough to handle the kind of cramps I'd get. Mrs. R's class was after lunch, and only a couple doors down the hall from the nurse, so I managed to limp my way down into her classroom, since I didn't want to get in trouble for being absent. Yay, U.S. school system. I figured I'd be able to just sit in the back of the class and hide, since we were watching videos for some dumb project she'd assigned us. Unfortunately, I picked the desk that she parked the projector next to. FML. I was hoping if I was quiet, she'd just leave me alone, but every time I so much as slouched, she snapped at me to sit up straight. I don't know how long this went on, but I ultimately just asked quietly if I could lay down in the back of the class. She angrily snapped, "If you're in that much pain, just go to the nurse." I took the chance and got the hell out of there. I was told later by a friend who'd been in the room that after the door closed behind me, she muttered, "I pooped out 4 kids, don't you talk to me about cramps." Needless to say, I was upset. As soon as I got home, I told my dad what happened, and he was livid. I'm going to have him write out the next part, as he has a better memory for what happened than I do. Dad here, a little background. I was the stay-home parent in the family. Dealing with stuff like this was part of the job, and I didn't mind because when it comes to my kids, I have a protective streak a light year long. I contacted the school and complained. I said I wanted an appointment with her supervisor, the vice principal, the following day. Not an hour later, this guy calls me with the teacher in his office, and he wants to discuss it now over the phone. I said, "I don't know who you're used to dealing with, but you're not going to meet 2-on-1 like this out of nowhere. No, we will not discuss it right now. You can make the appointment I asked for." He said, "I understand that your daughter was in pain." I said, "I told you we are not discussing it right now. If you're not willing to make an appointment and insist on trying to sandbag me like this, we have nothing more to discuss. Tell the teacher my daughter will not attend her class again." He tried to talk about grades, and I said, I dare her to punish my daughter for this. Please do, see what happens." She skipped that class for the rest of the term and never got in trouble for it. When I saw her grade, I was ready to rumble again, but she said no. So I deferred to her wishes. She can explain why. In summary, my philosophy is, only be as big an asshole as the occasion requires, but don't be afraid to be as big an asshole as the occasion requires. And back to me, thanks to my Papa Bear of a dad, I spent the rest of that year sitting in the hallway outside my favorite class of the day. I would read, sketch, and just in general relax for an hour until the bell rang. At the end of the year, I had to laugh when I got my report card. F for non-attendance in Mrs. R's class. It was the only F I've ever gotten on a report card, and I'm proud of it. To answer any questions, no, I haven't been diagnosed with anything like PCOS or endometriosis. We found a birth control that kept the pain manageable and only recently started looking into a diagnosis again. We suspect PCOS, but need to do more tests. Either way, I'm hoping we'll have an answer soon. Edit, I think I should clarify that this happened in 2005 when I was 15. I'm going to be 35 here soon. Basically, the only reason I never got tested to see if I have PCOS or endometriosis was because once I found a birth control that made the pain either bearable or entirely gone, it didn't feel necessary. Welp, now I know better.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more videos like this.